called the police on you.
He called the police on me, yes.
A nuisance downstairs?
And he slammed my door on me.
I felt threatened. She flipped me off one day.
Or a busybody upstairs?
He was saying that I was a drunk. I have not had a drink over 6 years.
She has no evidence.
You and he had differences.
This is Judge Judy. Vicki Lewis is suing her apartment neighbor, Michael Tall, for moving expenses as the result of his slander and harassment.
Judge, this is case number 34 on the calendar in the matter of Lewis versus Thal. Parties have been sworn in. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Lewis, in 2016, you moved into a residential community, according to your complaint. Was Mr. Tall already living in that community?
Yes, he was.
Mr. Tall?
Yes.
When had you moved into the community?
2006.
It is your claim, Ms. Lewis, that owing to the defendant's actions and his conduct and his complaints against you, which were not true, you were given a notice to move by management.
Yes.
And you are suing Mr. Tall for making those false accusations and for your moving costs.
Yes.
That's what the case is about. In 2016, by the way, is this a senior community?
Yes, it's a senior building.
What kind of an apartment did you have there?
I had a downstairs apartment, and he was right up over my apartment.
In 2016, when you moved into the building, did you have any confrontations with Mr. Tall in 2016?
No, in 2016, I didn't know who he was.
What about in 2017?
In 2017, it came to me that he was looking up my record to get my background of my crime, and he shared it with the neighbors.
Was that true, Mr. Tall?
No, I did the background check after the confrontation at her security door.
Well, tell me when that was. Was that in 2017 or later?
That was October of 2018, I think.
Tell me about the incident that suggested to you that it was appropriate for you to look up her history. Not that there's anything unlawful about that, but nothing happened in 2017 and most of 2018. What happened later in 2018 that caused you to look up her background?
I had heard that Miss Lewis was inquiring about who had a camera. So she had asked one of my neighbors, and he just offhandedly happened to mention it to me. So I wanted to go down
she was looking for a camera.
She was looking. I know at the time I had a security camera on my patio because my car had been broken into twice.
Let me stop you there for
Certainly.
a second. Do you remember that, Miss Lewis?
No,
asking
that did
who
not
had a
happen.
security camera?
No, that did not happen.
Okay.
So
Yes, continue.
So I went down to ask her if she had issues, and I found out, much to my chagrin, that she was informed that I had emailed a neighbor and CC'd it to management about Vicki possibly having a yard sale in her apartment, a garage sale in her apartment. Turns out it was for her church. I misunderstood that. No action was taken. The property manager, even though I CC'd her on the email, and the email to my neighbor was, and I think this is very relevant, my email to my neighbor was, Joe, we've just had Joe from Brooklyn. So I emailed Joe. I said, Joe, we just had 2 bikes stolen a month or 2 ago, and now a tenant's going to have a garage sale, mistakenly, admittedly. Don't you see anything wrong with that? And I CC'd it to the property manager, Giovanna. And so when Ms. Lewis found out it was me that had reported that, and she thought the camera was involved when it wasn't, I just overheard them. The dumpster on my patio door, but she's not a real fan of my camera.
Okay.
So anyway, as I could see, she wasn't amenable to my apology. My voice raised.
Well, just a minute. You haven't gotten to the apology yet. So far, you advised a neighbor and management that she was going to have a garage sale in her home.
Mistakenly.
And that was incorrect. So you haven't gotten to the apology yet. The apology, according to you, according to your answer, you went down to her apartment to apologize. Do you recall, Miss Lewis, Mr. Tall coming to your apartment?
No, he did not come to my apartment.
That's untrue.
He came down to my apartment. Someone brought it to my attention that he made a report to the manager that I was going to have a yard sale in back of an alley. So then he also was saying that I was a drunk. So I asked one of the neighbors, I said, are you Mike? Because they described him, and the person I asked was he Mike, and then they said no. So he came back downstairs about 5 minutes later. He came to my door and was just standing at my door, staring at me. And I said, "Who are you? What do you want?" And I said, "Oh, you must be that Mike." Then he said, "Yes, I am that Mike. And what about me?" So I said, "Why are you going around sending notes to the manager, telling them years?"
Not true. She has no evidence.
And,
I never said that.
Why did you?
Just 1 second.
Why are you saying I'm going to have a yard sale in the back of an alley? That's crazy. And I have evidence right here where he wrote a
Okay.
concerning
I
that.
would like, just a second. I would like to see evidence that he accused you to management of being a drunk.
Okay.
I'm not talking about the garage sale.
I have the statement about he said he was apologizing about me having a yard sale at the church, but he did not write down about me being a drunk on there.
Is there any evidence that you have that Mr. Tal alleged to anyone that you were an alcoholic?
No, I just have the one about him saying about the church sale. I wrote a letter to the owner talking about it.
Talking about what?
That he said that I was a drunk.
Talking about what, Mr.
That he said I was going to have a yard sale, and also I was a drunk.
Well, I would like to see where he said that.
Okay, this right here it say, to who it may concern, Western Hill Property Management. I'm Vicki Lewis.
I can read it. Sure,
okay.
No. Miss Lewis, let me read it.
Okay.
Well, what your letter says, and a lie that he told me about having a yard sale, and also that you threw a beer bottle in the trash. Well, that doesn't say you're a drunk. Oh, the letter doesn't call you a drunk at all. That, even the letter that you say that the allegation was that he told somebody that you were seen throwing a beer bottle in the trash.
By him saying, he was saying I was throwing 2 cases of beer bottles away daily, and I'm an alcoholic. That's what he said. I'm a drunk.
Just a second. I don't know who he said it to.
Well, he told.
So far, the complaint that he wrote to management had to do with the garage sale. Let's move further. Miss Lewis.
Okay.
You say it's sometime in October of 2019, Mr. Tal called the police on you.
He called the police on me, yes.
Mr. Tal, in October of 2019, did you call the police with regard to any action that Miss Lewis was taking? And if so, what action did you see that caused you to call the police?
There were couple of 3 days leading up to the calling of the police in which I felt threatened. She flipped me off one day, menacing looks at my camera for weeks. And that's okay. She doesn't like me having a camera. That's perfectly her right. So anyway, the reason I called the police is I heard her, again, the camera wasn't involved. She hates the camera. She went out to speak to somebody who had some beer bottles that they were recycling. On the way back to the gate, the camera showed her making what sounded like, and people have different interpretations, I thought she said, I'm going to cut you. And at that point, given what had happened during the previous week, I decided to call the police to see if we could de-escalate. Not file charges against her, have the police come and de-escalate. So the gist of the police visit was that they advised us both how to file a restraining order, and that was about it. No crime.
Okay. And you did not file for a restraining order?
I did not.
You did not. Now, after that event, and that was in 2019. That was in October
yes.
of 2019.
Yes.
Ms. Lewis, what is your next complaint about Mr. Tal's behavior?
Okay. Well, October the 6th, I put a police report on my phone.
Just a second. Did you call the police?
No, I wrote a police report over my phone on October the 6th.
Who did you file it against?
Against Michael.
Why?
Because when he came down...
What was the basis?
When he came down to my door, and when he was cussing at me, he got belligerent. And he slammed my door. I told him to get away from my door, and he slammed my door on me. And the manager even wrote me a letter saying that she seen when he slammed the door on me, and that was very dangerous.
I would like to see that.
Especially
letter
since
from
it's
the
not true.
Just a second, I would just like to see it. Send me. Who is this from?
This was from the manager, Lisa.
But Mike did not share it with me. He investigates everyone. Keep going.
Yes, sir.
There's a comma there. He investigates everyone looking for trouble. Is this from your witness who's here today?
No, it's from the manager that we had. She was the,
all right.
She was the manager of the park.
I got it, yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He called, and 3 police came to my door.
How many times did the police come to your door?
Once.
That day.
Once. So I heard about, just a second, I heard about that already.
Vicki Lewis claims apartment neighbor Michael Tall slandered her to management, resulting in her eviction.
Now, who was the witness you brought with you today, Miss Lewis?
My sister, Cheryl Stewart.
Okay, and what is she a witness to, or is she just here to sort of keep you company?
She was a witness when we had just came back from outing with her boyfriend, and we came to my house, and I was in my house for about 35 minutes, and Mike called the police. So she was, and 3 police came to my door, and she was there when that happened.
How many times did the police come to your door?
Once.
That day.
Once. So I heard about, just a second, I heard about that already. The second thing you're complaining about is something that involved your son,
yes,
who came to the residence and was in the parking lot. According to you, your son has some mental issues.
Yes, you do.
And you have a restraining order against him?
Yes, I have it here.
Okay, is it still in effect?
Yes, it is.
When was the last time you saw your son?
Since I moved, I'm not allowing him to know where I live at. I just moved July the 15th, so I'm not letting him know where I'm staying at right now.
Did he visit you when you were living in the same complex as Mr. Tall?
Well, after I put the restraining order on him, each time he came, he was like was acting like not himself. So I had him arrested about 5 or 6 times.
Okay. So, Mr. Tall, you understand that this was a child who has issues that his mother had a restraining order against. Did you complain to anyone about that?
Yeah, well, there's a long history. I'll keep it short and stick to your question. Terrell is, I think, probably in his mid-20s, early 20s. He's had a number of instances, 2 that didn't even involve me. Another one, the police were called, I'm going to say pre-2019, so 18. He was yelling and screaming, and they called the police, so there was a ruckus. Because I'm trying not to insult her son, because it's difficult enough for... My young brother had problems like this, so I can relate. So anyway, and then for some reason, Terrell kind of turned, and he started doing vandalism, and one event was actually illegal. He kicked in the passenger door of a neighbor's car who he has no issues with. He doesn't even know the neighbor. And I have that on video.
I'd like to see it. I would like to see it.
Yeah, he said I had to talk to the people. I don't have to be one. If I'm the one that's supposed to be one in trouble. I don't want them there. I don't need them there.
We're almost there.
Bye.
Who is that?
That's Terrell. Talking to his mom. Here we go. Poor guy. He's got problems.
I'm not going to be another. I'm trying to destroy you. I don't property.
Okay. Mr. Tall, you reported that to management.
I did.
Good.
With video.
You have to. Just a second. That's something, Miss Lewis, that I would report to management if I lived in a building.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I would be frightened living in that complex, seeing how angry that young man was and how he kicked a car that was not his, was not yours.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Vicki Lewis says apartment neighbor Michael Tall is responsible for her getting evicted.
Okay, so let's get to the bottom line. You moved out of the building when?
I moved July 15th.
And it says in your complaint that you were given a 60-day notice by management. Do you have that notice?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Okay, So what I'm seeing from the letter that you got from management, that the reason that they give for your 60-day notice is that the complex. That's the reason that they give.
Well, he made a report. He kicked the car on January 16, 2020, and then he also came back March 2nd, which they told me they was giving me a notice on March 2nd at 10, and I went straight over there where my son stayed, and he was in the bed sound asleep, was not nowhere in the neighborhood.
Okay. Miss Lewis, I just saw a video, and it was clear from the video that your son causes problems in the complex. It's clear from that. You indicated yourself, Miss Lewis, that you've had your son arrested 6 or 7 times.
Yes.
For causing problems. So it's very difficult. I understand, and I am totally sympathetic with you with having a child who has issues. But you were told to move for something that was, I don't think that the complex actually had the right to tell you to move, because a non-resident against whom you have a protective order is the basis to have you move. But you can't ascribe that to Mr. Tal.
Well, Your Honor, he kept writing
that video that I saw was frightening, and that was the reason that the complex gave to ask you to move after living there 4 years. That he actually caused physical damage to somebody's property, to their car, who lived in the complex. Now, whether or not that's a reasonable basis for the complex to ask you to move is something else.
Well, Your Honor,
and certainly
there were 5 incidents.
I spoke with the lady.
Just a second.
I spoke with the lady.
Miss Lewis, you indicated to me that you moved July 15th and that you are so fearful of those incidents continuing that your son doesn't know where you live, nor are you telling him where you live. Is that right?
Right, yes. The reason why is because I have the restraining order on him, and he did come over a couple of times with the restraining order, so he won't be able to come over to my house. But also, Mike had called the manager and told the manager I was harassing him also, and I got a letter. They was telling us to move away from one another in October the 23rd. He made a complaint on me concerning that also.
That's okay. You and he had differences. You're allowed to have differences, and he's allowed to give his side to management. You're allowed to give your side to management. It's not actionable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Want justice? Go to judgejudy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Okay, it's not actionable. A complex where you live, if the reason that they gave you for asking you to move is because your son created issues in the complex, a child who does not live with you. There's no need to answer, Mr. Tal, because so far you're not losing this case. Do you understand?
Well,
so silence is golden. Perfect.
Well, I talked to the lady
Lewis.
with the car, and I asked her. He said he also was going to complain concerning this. She said there was no damage to her car.
You have no case against Mr. Tal. I would be frightened living in that complex, seeing how angry that young man was, and how he kicked a car that was not his, was not yours. What I'm telling you is you don't have a cause of action against Mr. Tal for reporting his perception of what he saw or of sending a video to management about what took place below his window. You have no cause of action against him. He may be a busybody, he may be involved, but the reason that management gave you for asking you to move were actions by your son, and those complaints were accurate, so you do not have a cause of action against Mr. Tal. Case is dismissed. We're done here. Thank you.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
And on the next Judge Judy.
Tails were wagging, no growling.
It happened so quickly. He had already bitten her and had her in his mouth.
Dog injured hers.
Judge Judy.
By my son having a mental problem, it was not my problem.
I think it was mostly about her son because there were 5 incidents.
He's prejudiced, and he also was harassing another black woman on the property.
Oh, no, I helped 3 people, 2 of them were African Americans, move their flowers downstairs.
He came to my door, and I told him I wasn't a drunk and to stay out of my business.
I still feel sorry for the situation she's in with her son.
You bought a 22-year-old car and you drove it, and then the transmission went kaflooey.
A frustrated buyer is geared up for a fight.
I believed that it was a dependable car, which is exactly what was written.
What I'm telling you is you took a car as is.
Is he just spinning his wheels?
The car does not run. This is a fraudulent sale.
Do you understand your problem?
No, I do not, Your Honor.
This is Judge Judy. Brian Epner is suing Janine Bender and her husband Tom Uhrig for a refund for a '98 Jeep Wrangler they sold to him.
Judge, this is case number 145 on the calendar in the matter of Epner. Have a seat, sir.
Mr. Epner, I'm going to go through what I get from your complaint, and I want you to tell me if I've said anything that is incorrect, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, you were in the market for a second vehicle.
Correct.
What was your first vehicle?
2018 Nissan Rogue.
And who else drove that car?
That vehicle is driven by my wife.
Do you have children?
I have two beautiful children, 13 and 9.
And she drives the car primarily for herself and with the kids.
Yes.
Was that also your family's primary vehicle?
That is my family's primary vehicle, yes.
How long has it been your family's primary vehicle?
Since 2018, 2017.
And what kind of a car did you have before that?
Before that, I had a minivan and a Nissan Sentra. I also had a couple of Jeeps prior to that.
Okay, immediately prior.
Immediately prior, it was a...
immediately prior was the one your wife drove with the children.
I still have that vehicle, yes.
Yes, you were looking for a second car, and prior to that, you drove a van.
A minivan, yes.
That was the family car.
Yes, it was a Chrysler Town and Country.
Okay, and both of those cars were automatic transmission.
Correct.
Okay, now, you looked for a second car, and what you found was a 22-year-old Jeep. You went to their house, and you looked at the car, and you test drove it.
Correct. I came with a friend of mine, a coworker. Sorry. Yes.
And you looked at the car, brought a friend, test drove it. Where did you test drive it?
Around the immediate area, which I had promised the...
For how long?
5 minutes, roughly.
How long did it take you to get from your home to the defendant's home?
I came from work. It was the middle of the day, so it took approximately 25 minutes.
So it took you 25 minutes also to get back with the car after you purchased it?
Correct, to my office, yes.
And you brought the Jeep back to your office?
Correct.
What's the distance between your office and your home?
I would say it's about a 15, 20-minute drive, 25 minutes in traffic.
Now, what day of the week did you pick up the car from them?
I picked it up on a Thursday. It was October 1st. Did you go to work on Friday, October 2nd? I did.
Did you drive the Jeep?
No, I did not.
What car did you drive?
I carpooled with my boss, which I do most of the time.
So on the 2nd of October, you carpooled with your boss, that you remember?
Yes.
Whose name is?
Stephen.
And if I were to call Stephen, he would check his calendar and see him.
He probably wouldn't check his calendar. We do that every day.
Then what did you need a second car for?
For the occasions once in a blue moon where we don't carpool, and also for some errands around the neighborhood for family errands.
So you carpooled with your boss, and then there was a Saturday and a Sunday.
Yes.
At some point, you're going to tell me which day, you went to put gas in the car. On what day was that?
So what happened was...
No. On what day did you go to put gas in the car?
I believe it was the Saturday. So that would be the 3rd, October 3rd.
And when you went to put gas in the car, you had some difficulty, according to your complaint. And I filled the tank with gas, and then the Jeep wouldn't move. That's what you said, when you filled the Jeep up with gas.
It was not
a couple of days later, you said in your complaint that you swore to, a couple of days later, I filled the tank with gas, and then the Jeep wouldn't move.
That's not what I signed. I filled the tank with gas. I drove it to my home.
You didn't say that, sir. I'm just telling you. I have your complaint that I can show you that you signed, today, and it says, a couple of days later, I filled the tank with gas. Then the Jeep wouldn't move.
Yes, there was.
I ended up pushing it to a spot.
It's nuanced.
And swore to
correct. Yes, I swore to it. It is correct. The nuance is that there was a 5-minute period between putting in gas and going 4 blocks to my apartment complex.
Okay, so after you put in gas, the car actually drove.
It drove, yes.
It drove. We're going to get there eventually, Mr. Repner, because what you're alleging is that they sold you a car, which they couldn't do in your state, because the car, after you had it examined by a mechanic when it stopped running, had transmission problems.
Well,
that's what you wrote here.
The car doesn't run, and the mechanic who I brought here
Just
with
a
me
second.
Today, yes.
I don't care what the mechanic says.
Okay.
You say it has transmission problems. Is your mechanic going to say anything different?
No, he is not.
Fine. It had transmission problems.
Correct.
And from that, you conclude that the car, because it had transmission problems, couldn't pass a new smog test unless you fixed the transmission, and therefore the sale is illegal. That's what your complaint says.
Correct.
However, Mr. Repner, this is your problem. You bought a 22-year-old car that, according to the defendants, and I have no reason to doubt them, and neither do you purchased the car on the 1st of October.
That was not presented to me, and that was not, I don't know how it did
Well,
that.
then, just a second.
Okay.
Do you have proof that your car passed a smog test in June? That's what you say.
We couldn't find the receipt for that. We thought it was in the glove compartment of the Jeep.
Okay. Did you register the car?
Yes. Yes.
What was the last day the car was registered?
June 2020.
The car had to be smogged in order...
Right.
So when you bought the car, it had been registered.
According to the
you
ad,
bought a registered car.
According to the ad, it says the tags, and according to the conversation,
Mr. Repner, the car was registered. These two people did not sell you an unregistered car, so the car was registered.
Okay.
They said it was in June. And since they, in their state where you live, could not register a car unless it was smogged, they had the car smogged. If you follow what you just said to me, you test drove the car, you drove it for at least an hour. You drove it 25 minutes from their house to your office. You drove it then 25 minutes from your office to your home. You may have done an errand or two in between, but you drove it for at least an hour because you also took it on a test drive. And the car was running.
The car was running?
The car ran.
The car was
shifting.
Running.
And it had been smogged.
I don't know that.
And you bought it, well, I do. Because you bought a registered car.
I don't have...
And if you didn't, and you brought a friend with you to look at the car, go outside and you can check the VIN number and see when the last time that car was registered. There's no question that they had this car registered and smogged. When did you purchase this
Your
car?
Honor, if I can...
Mr. Bender? Yeah, you can do whatever you like. You bought a 22-year-old car and you drove it. And then the transmission went kaflooey. That's what happened. You drove it.
The issue, Your Honor, if you allow me for a second, I just want to mention that there's no way for me to prove that it was smogged, that it had a smog certificate. If you allow me to present from the California DMV on their website, I brought it today to show you.
No, just show me from the VIN number of your car, sir.
The VIN number of my vehicle, which is on the title, which I have.
Yeah, the VIN number.
I will replace.
Right.
Okay, the VIN number on the vehicle is 1J4179.
Good. You bought a 22-year-old car that was running and, as far as you know, registered. Now I'm going to go back to the defendants again because I wanted to ask you this question. When did you purchase this car, this Jeep? In what year, if you remember?
I think it was 2008.
So you purchased a car when it was 10 years old?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. And you had the car exclusively, the two of you, from 2008 until the time you sold it to him?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. With whom was the car?
Western General?
Was this the only car you had?
No.
How many cars do you have?
2.
Were both cars insured by Western General?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you use both cars?
Yes.
Every day.
Can you tell me on what date you canceled the insurance on the 1998 Jeep?
It was after the sale. It was a couple weeks after Brian had taken it.
Do you understand your problem?
No, I do not, Your Honor. I understand that I bought a vehicle, and if you allow me to just state I have no proof it was registered.
You have 30 seconds.
Okay, I have no proof it's registered. Okay. I don't have a smog certificate. According to the California DMV, if I sell my car, do I have to get it inspected first? This is from the frequently asked questions on the California DMV website. Yes, if you are selling your car, you need to give the new owner a valid smog certification when you sell the car. I don't have a valid smog certification. I can't get one because the car does not run. This is a fraudulent sale.
You broke it.
No, I didn't.
You broke it.
I absolutely
did not. You drove it?
Because I brought it to my mechanic. If you allow me to bring up my mechanic, who would state that
What I'm telling you is, you bought a 22-year-old car from people that you cannot disprove, unless you want me to waste my time calling their insurance company, which I guarantee you, actually, you have the telephone number of your insurance carrier?
Yes.
Your Honor, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Having insurance, I have insurance on the vehicle also. Doesn't mean it runs, smogged, registered. They don't ask for anything.
Sir, you don't insure a car and pay for insurance on a car unless it's registered, and it can't be registered unless it's been smogged in your state.
Not, Your Honor,
do you understand?
With all due respect, I have the car. Yeah. I have insurance on the vehicle.
You bought
the day I bought the car.
No, you don't, sir. You only have to have insurance on a car if you're driving it. If you can't drive it because it's not registered and it's not insured because it hasn't passed smog, you don't carry or pay for insurance on it.
I did.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Mr. DeFranco called the police and said that you were waving a gun at him. By the time you got out of jail, all of your stuff was over at your grandmother's house.
No, Your Honor.
Where was your stuff?
Brian Epner says Janine Bender and husband Tom Uhrig sold him a Jeep with transmission problems. He also claims it couldn't pass a smog test.
You bought a 22-year-old car.
Because I believe that it was a dependable car, which is exactly what was written on the air.
What I'm telling you is you took a car, as is. I believe, based on the testimony, that these two people had the car registered and insured, which means that they had it smogged. You can't get it smogged because the transmission went, and you drove the car for at least an hour. At least, probably more.
Your Honor, that's...
We're done. We're done. We're finished. This isn't a back and forth. I've explained it to you. You don't want to accept it.
I acknowledge that I bought a 22-year-old car.
That's your problem. That's correct. We're done.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
I don't know what happened once it left our house because we drove it every day.
This is a fraudulent transaction with fraudulent people.
It was fine.
Owned it for 12 years and never had a problem.
Yeah.
Who are dishonest, and I can't say anything about that.
And I know exactly what happened. He put it in four-wheel drive to check it out.
No, it drove, and as I continued driving, I mean...
And he didn't back up. You got to take back up
just
to take it out of the four-wheel drive.
Got a little sticky, and then it stopped.
And that's how he ruined the transmission.
Buyer beware. Don't trust people just because they seem like a nice, lovely couple.
Yeah, stand by the car. It's a sad situation, actually.
All parties in the matter of Baker versus DeFranco. Step forward.
Jason Baker is suing his illegal lockout and stolen belongings.
All right, Mr. Baker, you were living rent-free in the defendant's house. And you have two claims, that he locked you out of the house, but you were living rent-free, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
And the time that he locked you out of the house, Mr. Baker, you had, according to you, already packed half of a U-Haul because you were moving out. Yes, that's what you wrote.
Yes, Your Honor.
Perfect. And then you hadn't finished moving your things. You went out for a little while. And while you were out, it is your claim that Mr. DeFranco called the police and said that you were waving a gun at him, which was not true. And he did that because he knew you had an outstanding warrant for your arrest. So when the police pulled you over, they arrested you on an outstanding warrant. By the time you got out of jail, all of your stuff was over at your grandmother's house.
No, Your Honor. That's actually incorrect.
Where was your stuff?
The U-Haul was still MIA at that point. I had to call officers to the home because he had instructed his friends who were inside the home to hold possession of my two service animals.
All right, let me just read you what you wrote.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll refresh your recollection before I throw you out of here.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Well, that was pretty stupid. You know him for a very long time.
Yes.
And you know that he has some serious issues.
Yes.
I don't know whether you have some serious issues.
I think I do.
But I know that he has some serious issues.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jason Baker claims former landlord Justin DeFranco had him arrested, stole his belongings, and locked him out of the house. Justin is countersuing for a totaled car, vandalism, and U-Haul charges.
12 hours later, I was released and returned home. The U-Haul was gone, and I was locked out of the house. I eventually found the boxes of my things were dropped off at my grandmother's house. But the boxes had all been opened and repacked. Thousands of dollars of my property, including my Rolex, my laptop, and my expensive shoe collection, were gone. Justin also refused to release my 2 service animals. That's what you wrote.
I believe, Your Honor, that I might have miswrote some things due to the fact that I have been under some serious health conditions. I just got out of the hospital after a week's stay. I do have a heart condition. I'm not able to recollect certain things due to the fact that I do black out.
Well, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do, Mr. Baker. I don't like to deal with somebody who is not to where you came from. And I'm dismissing your case without prejudice so you can go and get yourself better, and then you can cogently present your case if you're not feeling well. Do you understand?
I feel fine to continue today if we can.
Well, then, I'm going to ask you, you just signed today this sworn complaint that I read to you. There was a whole different scenario than what you just gave me. And you said you did that because you didn't feel well.
It wasn't supposed to state boxes. There was supposed to be some...
Mr. Baker, you don't have
wording
a case.
adjustment?
Mr. Baker, you don't have a case against him. You paid no rent. I don't know whether you liked each other, whether we lived each other like an old married couple, but I decided it was time to leave because we were arguing all the time. You left. Did you call the police and say that he was waving a gun at you?
I never called the police during this whole incident. Not
What
once.
proof do you have that he called the police, Mr. Baker?
I have no proof other than what the officer asked me at the time.
Don't tell me what the officer said to you, sir. So you have no proof that he called the police?
No, I have no proof.
Okay, very good. And you had no lease with him, and you were moving out of the house with a U-Haul, so we didn't illegally lock you out.
I actually have proof that Mr. Franco wrote a letter stating that I would be able to reside in the home rent-free upon the voucher approval from housing that I was waiting for.
Mr. Baker, on December 5th, 2018, the rented U-Haul was partially packed. You packed it.
From the
But I still had belongings. You were moving out.
No, the U-Haul was packed from a storage facility. I had packed nothing from the home.
What was the U-Haul doing in front of the house?
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by... Have you been cheated? Go to judgejudy.com, like us on Facebook, and follow us on Twitter.
What was the U-Haul doing in front of the house?
Mr. DeFranco had rented the U-Haul.
For what?
Because I had to move from my storage facility.
Okay, goodbye. We're done. You and I are done. Now, since you feel well enough, we're going to deal with his counterclaim, which is for what nonsense, Mr. DeFranco?
I helped Mr. Baker out with getting him a car.
Well, that was pretty stupid of you.
It was.
Well, that was pretty dumb.
100%.
You know him for a very long time.
Yes.
And you know that he has some serious issues.
Yes.
I don't know whether you have some serious issues.
I think I do.
But I know that he has some serious issues. So why you would co-sign for a loan on a car for him, I have no idea.
Me neither.
And how old are you?
I don't know.
You don't know how old you are?
I'm 29.
29. I'm the same thing on one side.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy, an explosion of anger shakes a neighborhood.
You body Englishing her all the way back onto her property, screaming in her face. That's what I saw. Uncivilized behavior.
Judge Judy.
He wasn't like this prior to us. Prior to this.
The fact is, I needed help. Mr. DeFranco needed help.
He became normal, and he needed help.
Both of us together decided that we could help each other.
Mr. Baker is a sociopath. He is delusional and he thinks people are stalking him.
I feel there are certain things that have been done to me by Mr. DeFranco that I was hoping to get out into the air.
He's very ill.
Some of the things include harassment, stalking. I got roses yesterday, actually, after getting out of the hospital.
Yeah, he's delusional. He really is.
But his main concern was that I was here today, so I'm here.
We already got a restraining order against him, so he can't contact me.
Actually, I do kind of miss my friend.
Basically, come anywhere near me, so.
I was hoping that we could get past this, but apparently we can't.
Definitely separate ways.
I don't think there's any forgiving of this one.
Cleared his calendar.
He was ready, willing, and able to do this job.
But a homeowner
When did you get back to him?
wasn't on the same page.
I told him at this point I wanted to cancel.
You canceled the night before.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Stetler,
Yes, Your Honor.
your responses to me are flaky.
I don't understand.
Flaky.
This is Judge Judy. Matthew Stetler is suing home alarm installer Travis Bailey for failing to install a surveillance system in his home.
It's case number 189 on the calendar in the matter of Stetler versus Bailey. Parties have been sworn in.
Mr. Stetler, you purchased some surveillance equipment for your home. What kind of surveillance equipment did you purchase?
Surveillance cameras.
How many did you purchase?
I purchased a total of 8, Your Honor.
How much did you pay for the 8 security cameras?
Paid $1,700 for the system.
So it's one system?
Yeah, it's a system that has, with a hard drive with cameras and everything that needs to be installed.
And that's where Mr. Bailey comes in, because you needed someone to install the system. On what date did you purchase the system?
I'm not quite sure of the exact date. It was somewhere in December. I purchased the system. They sat at my house for quite some time before I had them installed.
You purchased them in 2019.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So you purchased them in December of 2019, and they did nothing. Sometime in June of 2020, some 6 months later, you contacted the defendant to install them.
That's correct.
And you told him that you would need $900 up front, and the total job was going to be what, to install the system?
Yes, so we'd be wrapping hundreds of feet of wire around his home, and we did collect that deposit.
Listen,
I'm sorry, what was your question, Your Honor?
I want you for a moment to think like a woman. I want you to put on your listening ears.
Okay.
Put on your listening ears. I asked you a simple question, and the question was, what was the total cost of the job? That's a number.
Just above $1,800. I believe it was $1,815.
And on that date, on the 20th of June, he gave you a $900 deposit.
Correct.
And you told him that it would be about half a day's work.
I don't believe it would be half a day. I don't recall that exact statement.
Well, how long do you think it would have taken you had you done the job?
It would have probably been a full day.
One day. Well, one man's full day is another man's half day. It depends upon how fast and how diligently you work.
Correct.
And he had the materials, except for one was a router. Now, I don't want you to explain to me what that is. At my age, I only want to know information that involves getting me from one meal to the next. So I don't want to know what a router does. But with reference to this case, you bought the router,
correct,
according to you.
Yes.
For his system.
Correct.
And how much did you spend that you have a receipt for the router?
It's after tax just over $150.
Did you buy it?
Yes.
Where is it?
It's probably still sitting in the office. I don't use equipment that's for jobs that didn't go in on that job, unless the client discloses that they don't need it or want it.
Why didn't you bring it? It's part of your defense that you bought an item. You started working on it. You researched it, and you bought an item. So why didn't you bring it? Where do you come from? You come from across the country?
No, Modesto. Things have been very hectic for our company during COVID.
But you drove here.
Correct.
Why don't you just put it in the car? Is it very big, this router? Is it bigger than a bread box? Is it bigger than a coffin?
No,
what is it?
Roughly this.
How big is it? Show me with your hands.
Roughly this big.
And who else drove in the car with you?
I had a friend join me.
Great. Is your car a 2-door car or a 4-door car?
4-door.
Good. So you had plenty of room in the back seat to put the router, if you want credit for the router. Anyway, you didn't get back to him do this job. How come? The last thing you said to him was, give me the $900, and I'm going to look in my book and get back to you and let you know what date I can come and do it.
That is incorrect, Your Honor.
That was Well, tell me what you said. You took the $900, and what date did you tell him that you were going to start work?
So when we collected the deposit, the plaintiff gave me an option for 2 days he wanted to select for the install, and he would let me know which day. So I reserved 2 days on my calendar for him.
Which 2 days did he tell you?
I remember it was a Tuesday or a Thursday. I have it in my notes here if you may allow me to open them.
Absolutely.
So can I read a text message here, Your Honor?
Absolutely, and then I want to look at it.
Okay. So I'm going to read just a couple exchanges we had. I apologize for poor communication because things have been so hectic during the pandemic. My company's looking to hire more installers.
Okay, hold on a second. No, up.
Okay.
Put the text message up there. I'll look at it myself. And the date.
So the date isn't in the screenshot?
Oh, well, it has to be.
I can pull out my phone and check if you'd like.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so in this, for something...
It was just a delay in reply to text messages.
No, it's been so hectic here, started moving through the pandemic. The company is looking to hire more installers right now. More people are calling in than usual.
I was just sharing unnecessary information, I
just need to know what date.
This was on June 20th. So this is my phone
June
here.
20th. I thought that June 20th was the date that you first saw him and collected the $900.
I may be incorrect on my dates, Your Honor. I apologize. I do remember we met on Father's Day. Not exactly sure what date that was.
Okay.
I took some time for him for that.
You have your dates down, Mr. Stetler?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, great. He came to the house on what date?
He came to my house on Sunday, the 20th.
And you gave him $900 in a check?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was he supposed to start this job?
I wanted him to come out on that following Tuesday, and he told me he had to check with his installers to make sure that he was available to come out on that following Tuesday, and he would get back to me. And I have that on a text message as well.
I'd like to see it.
So this on June 20th, or I'm sorry, June 21st is when I show him that I spoke with my wife and wanted to have him come out on Tuesday. I'm sorry.
I talked to my wife. If Tuesday would work, would be fine, just let me know. Inside the garage, 5 cameras, we could address the balance when you finish. Yes or no problem. I'll knock it off the last half of the remaining balance. I haven't heard back from my guys yet. I'll let you know ASAP. So that was June 21st.
On Sunday, correct. And he was responding back to me, letting me know that he still hadn't heard back from his guys.
Yes, I read that. Well, when did he finally respond that he could install? What was the next exchange?
My next exchange from him was on June 30th, Your Honor.
Mr. Bailey, do you have any record that you let him know that you were either available or unavailable that Tuesday?
I believe I do. May I look through my text messages again?
Yes, I want you to look and see. Either I will be there or I won't be there on Tuesday. Checked with his wife. His wife said Tuesday is fine. You said, I haven't heard from my installers. I'll get back to you ASAP. I want to know when the ASAP was, because this case is about he wants the return of his deposit.
So it looks like I got back to him at 8:42 p.m. June 22nd, and I have text messages of that.
So the next one you say was at 8:42 p.m. on Tuesday, when you said what to him, sir? What did you say to him at 8:42?
I said, hey, sorry I had this typed up, but I didn't send. Sorry for the delay. That is no problem at all. That's perfect. We'll see you next Tuesday.
No. Following Tuesday, as we originally saw, showing up early in the morning between... See what's right before that? Hey, this is Matt Stetler. I had to order the wall mount and monitor. It won't show up until next Thursday, so let's go ahead and schedule the install for the following Tuesday, as we originally discussed, showing up early in the morning between 7 and 8. I'll put it on my schedule. And you say that's no problem. Okay, so the following would be the 27th or the 28th. That's when you wanted him to schedule.
That's
okay,
correct.
because you didn't have the right mounting.
That's correct.
And then what happened?
We didn't speak until I talked to him on the 20...
So now it's supposed to be installed the following Tuesday.
The following
Is that right?
That's correct.
Following Tuesday, which would have been the 29th.
The 29th, Your Honor, that's correct.
Yes, and what happened on the 29th?
So I got in touch with him that Monday, informing him that my wife was sick, or had got sick over the weekend, and Sunday she had to go in for surgery, and I was going to cancel the install for Tuesday, and that I would get back to him at a later date.
So you canceled.
Yes.
the night before.
That's correct.
You canceled the night before.
That's correct.
Because your wife had an emergency.
That's correct.
When did you get back to him?
He got back to me on Tuesday, said that he got my text, that he was on a different job, and he would call me later. I hadn't heard back from him, and so I reached out to him on July 10th.
Well, why didn't you call him, Mr. Stetler, and without waiting for him? Your wife had an emergency. You canceled with him the night before the job.
That's correct.
You canceled with him the night before the job, saying your wife had an emergency.
That's correct.
And I'll get back to you. And when was the next time you contacted him?
No, I didn't say that I'd get back to him. I told him at this point I wanted to cancel, and it would probably take a few weeks to a month before I rescheduled the camera install.
Yeah.
And I put that in a text message. He had told me that he would get back to me.
Yeah, Mr. Stetler.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Stetler.
Yes, Your Honor.
You don't get your money back. Your responses to me are flaky.
No, I don't understand.
Flaky.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
Did she give you $80 in cash?
Yes.
When you came out of the facility?
Yes.
Did you ever give her any money?
No, but I've done a lot of things for her.
I don't care. My question was, did you ever give her any money?
Matthew Stetler says home alarm installer Travis Bailey owes for the return of a deposit to install a home.
Somebody clearly isn't ready to do their job.
Okay.
He was ready, willing, and able to do this job. You canceled. You canceled the night before, and then you wanted to cancel the whole job. After you had scheduled with him, you knew he spent time, you knew he bought a router, you don't get your money back. You don't set the value for somebody else's time, sir.
That's right.
I assume, did you have somebody else install the system?
No, I didn't, Your Honor.
Yeah, he doesn't owe you any money. Your case is dismissed. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This case is concluded. Parties are excused.
It's still open. I mean, he's one of the best guys in town, so I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm more than happy to do the job for him still. I'd be more than happy to do that for him.
It's not open. It's open for discussion, so.
I'd like to make him secure. That's what we do.
I'm glad it's settled.
And now, the next case.
All parties in the matter of Walton versus Asbury, step forward.
Catherine Walton is suing her former friend, Christina Asbury, for rent, a smashed windshield, and a loan to pay her cell phone bill.
Ms. Walton, you and the defendant knew each other for some time, and am I correct that each of you at some point had a drug problem?
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes.
You were in a program, according to what I read in your complaint. The defendant was just coming out of a program. She needed a place to stay. She contacted you, and you indicated that she could, in fact, stay with you. The arrangement was as follows. She could stay with you without rent at first. When she got a job, got on her feet, she would start paying you $400 a month.
Right.
And you also, according to you, loaned her $300 to sort of get her on her feet, to get some clothes and some other stuff. And she got a job relatively quickly. You were released from the facility when?
In April.
And you stayed with Miss Walton month of April?
For the remainder of April, yes.
And May?
Yes.
And in June?
Yes.
And in July?
Yes.
When did you leave?
About 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago?
Ago. Mm-hmm.
So that would be sometime in August.
Yes.
How much rent did you pay her?
I gave her a couple $100 out of a couple of my checks, but I was trying to save money for my own place.
A couple of $100 out of a couple of your checks. A couple is two.
Oh, there was maybe like 3 or 4 that I remember.
How much money did she give you while she was staying with you?
$600 total.
Okay.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I came home and I immediately saw that my windshield was smashed. And
how did that happen?
I found out who it was, why he broke out her window. I have no clue. I wasn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Catherine Walton says former friend Christina Asbury owes for rent, a smashed windshield, and a loan. Now,
what was the $300 that you, according to you, loaned her for?
When she moved in, or when she got her job.
When did you get your job?
About 3 weeks after I got out of the program.
Where were you working?
I was working at a natural food store.
Are you still working there?
No.
Where are you working now?
I'm working at a gas station now. We actually work at the same company, different stores.
How long have you worked there?
About 2 months.
Who is this?
This is my boyfriend.
What does he do? Is not an answer.
He doesn't have a job right now.
What does he do? All day?
I don't know. I'm at work.
So he stays home and you work?
Mm-hmm.
How long has he been your boyfriend?
Off and on for a year now.
Did you meet him in the facility?
No.
Where did you meet him?
I met him at my friend's house.
Has he had a job during the year?
Yeah.
Doing what?
He was doing I don't know what it's called, like tree trimmings.
For?
I bought her cell phone bill, and for clothes for her new job. She had to wear a certain type of outfit.
Did you give her the $300 in cash?
No, I gave her $80 in cash, and the cell phone and the cell phone bill I put on my credit card.
Did she purchase a cell phone for you?
Yeah, she didn't say that I had to pay her back, though.
Just question is, did she purchase a cell phone for you?
Yes.
Did she pay your cell phone bill?
Yes.
Did she give you $80 in cash?
Yes.
When you came out of the facility?
Yes.
What about clothes?
I didn't have any when I moved with her.
Did she help you get some?
Yes.
Where did you first meet Miss Walton?
I met her through my ex-husband. We met about 10 years ago. Her ex and my ex were friends, and we've just continued to be friends even though those relationships are done and gone.
Did you ever give her any money?
No, but I've done a lot of things for her.
I don't care. My question was, did you ever give her any money?
No.
And who do you work for, Miss Walton?
I work at a gas station.
Do you live alone?
I have a daughter who's 5.
Anything else you want to tell me?
She also owes me for a windshield that got broken. My car windshield that got broken.
Well, explain that to me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Closed captioning sponsored by Judy.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Well, explain that to me.
On July 4th, I came home and I immediately saw that my windshield was smashed out. I have a picture of it if you want to see. And
how did that happen?
I wasn't there. I found out who it was, and I told her who it was.
Who was it?
It was this person that I had bought a computer from. He had gotten mad because I wasn't picking up my phone, and I don't know why he went.
Did you owe him money for the computer?
Yes, I did. Why he broke out her window, I have no clue. I wasn't there. I wasn't part of it.
Your Honor, she would drive my car all the time. She doesn't have her own car, so she would borrow it. So I assume the person thought the car was maybe hers.
She's not responsible for the windshield.
She signed for the bill to pick it up.
I don't care. She just gave you the name of the person who broke your windshield.
She did. I didn't hear a name.
Oh, name? Name?
Mike. I don't know who that is.
She'll tell you who it is. Go file a police report.
If I hadn't have met
Listen
her
to me.
or let her drive my car, it would have never been broken.
If my mother were taller, I would have been 5'8".
She agreed that she would.
I'm telling you, she's not responsible for your windshield.
She agreed that she would pay.
Do you understand? She's not responsible for your windshield. I don't care what she agreed to. That's why you're here. She's not responsible for your windshield. Go and file a police report against
I did file a
him
police
and
report.
sue. Well, did you then? She knows where they are. She bought a computer from them. Sue him.
I think you should give me the computer for it.
Listen to me. She's not responsible for the criminal act of another person.
Not criminally, but
it's
civilly.
a criminal act of another person. I'm trying to explain something to you. Did you go to law school?
No.
She's not responsible for the criminal act of another person. Vandalism is a criminal act. She's not responsible for it. She's responsible for the $300 that she borrowed from you in order to get on her feet.
Even with the babysitting? I've done a lot of babysitting and stuff for her.
Listen to me. You paid $600 over 4 months that you lived in her house. You can't board a gerbil for that amount of money for 4 months. You're bigger than a gerbil. So if you babysat, cleaned the bathroom, did the refrigerator, scrubbed out the stove, good for you. You were living practically for nothing.
Her daughter lived there as well, and I watched her daughter too.
So I look as if I need your help. No. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $300. That's all. Thank you, Your Honor.
Please excuse me, step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
It's past it, and now that I'm going to get paid back, I hope we're not enemies forever.
Well, I care about her too, and